think only one word I'll use, Shanta. She's my soulmate in many ways. That's all. I think we agree, disagree, we fight, we talk about mother, father, everything in the world. That is not one sentence, one topic. I think Shanta and me not spoken. Correct, Shanta? I can't imagine anything. I think if I want to say something personal, something I'm confused, sometimes my anxiety, I can call her and talk to her. So Shanta, you have been a great source. I think it so happened you joined. Thankfully, you let American Express. I want to thank American Express to getting rid of you and bringing you to RBL Bank. Otherwise, you would have never met in our lifetime, right? So you've been a great, great help, Shanta. I think RBL Bank is one relationship, but you are completely different relationship. I'm not saying you are RBL Bank. So I am treating you, Shanta, as a friend, well-wisher, always. See, one thing I want to tell about Shanta, the RBL Bank HR head, and she's been not only HR, CSR, she's almost like she's the soul of RBL Bank, if you can use that word. But I think, Shanta, one thing I like about you, and I always admire about you, is the way you manage your people. And every time I come to your office, I have lunch with you, I see the way people are charged coming into Shanta. Shanta will fire somebody, and that guy will go back smiling. I never understood. I fire people cry. I can't understand. Shanta, that's one story you must tell us some other time. How do you fire people and make them smile when they go from your room, right? So thank you very much for coming, Shanta, and thank you for accommodating our slight shift in the schedule. Over to you, Shanta. I would like you know TMI intimately, what we do, what we don't do well. You also know that we still have a long way to go in RBL Bank relationship. So anything you talk about the future will be very meaningful to us. Over to you.
Sure. So thank you for this lovely introduction.
Murli. As always, you're always polite in whatever you say. So I take this politely, that all the things that you said were good and meant only for me and not for public consumption. But as it went on public consumption, I'm quite happy about it as well. And I'll also like to congratulate Murli, the TMI Group, Ravi, of course, old-time friend now for a very, very old time, Peter and Kalesh and all the extended family of TMI on completion of 30 years. 30 years is also an indication of almost the time when I started my career. So I think when we begin our careers, we are completely enamored by founders. And when you see somebody like you doing what you do, I think it's amazing. It's just amazing what you'll have done, and you'll have withheld it in so many situations. We've been running a bank for the last 10 years, and I can say it's not easy because there are days when it cannot be that good as it was the previous day, but life goes on, and I'm so happy to be here with all of you. As far as TMI is concerned, I was thinking of a better way of presenting TMI, and I'm saying, what is it that TMI did not support me on? So as you know from a background, I came from business. And the biggest challenge I faced when I came from business was a typical HR person looked at me and said, what is the value add she's going to give me? So I had to do something which was different from what they were used to, just to prove my space. And the team that you talk about today who walks out happily, smiling after I bombarded them, is because this is how I started with them, right? They thought, this woman, what can she add value? And today, when the woman adds value, there is a lot of, can you hear me?
Yeah, very clearly.
Okay,
Very clearly.
I don't know why he's indicating that probably it's not going through. Okay. So I just want to say that I started my career in 2015 with HR. And the first person who wrote an email was Murli. And first and foremost, Murli, I have no words to thank you for that. And I'll never forget in 2015 when I moved in and you offered that if you want any help from us at any point of time, pro bono was the term that you used. And you said, I'm willing to come and assist you at any point of time. And I still cherish that email. And I don't think, this is a very, that's why I'm still a soulmate. And, you're my soulmate is because of that one mail. And I said, what is it that I can do with TMI? And then it started with Ravi, where we spent hours and hours with CNK just to find out as to what is the hire, train, deploy model we can bring in. I think it was our first time that we were hiring for the bank without a mandate from the bank. And therefore, your partnership was extremely important for our success. And those Ajanta hotels and, Ravi, we spent, time finding it within our budgets. And like the previous speaker also spoke about it, you took my problem and worked towards the solution. I have no words to say thank you. because it was well managed, it was within the budget. I think the agility with which you did what you did, along with the speed, understanding the needs of the customer, were clearly a winner for me, both internally and, of course, externally, because we could get those people on board when the branches were going live. I think our biggest worry was how to get the salespeople in. So our HTD model, I'm truly inspired by the way you all ran it, and I genuinely mean it. We went through an ups and downs. I won't say that we didn't go through it. We had multiple meetings, and I think Peter lost his hair during that period itself. Ravi fortunately cannot accord it to me. So I'm just saying that, during this process of whatever happened, end of the day, I'm glad that, that worked well for us, because one of the biggest, problems that I would have faced is, why should we outsource something which we can do in-house? And what made it so easy was the seamless partnership, right? You came in and I had a need. It never felt like we were working with somebody else. It always felt like an extension of our own RBL Bank. And I think that's what you bring to the table, which I can't proudly say for every partnership. So I think you need to feel very good along with your team. And I don't want to keep Murli as the only person. I think Ravi, Peter, they work relentlessly with us to make this happen. Notwithstanding the fact that Sailaja has also been a great help. It would have been impossible. It'd be unfair to not talk about Sailaja in this call. So I must admit that she was very much a part of all of this, and we did a phenomenal start. Then our second round, which was another problem case for us. I'm just stating the problems and the immediate solutions that came by, and I'm so appreciative of it. It's had its pitfalls as well, but it's also had a lot of reward around it. We were delaying our Oracle implementation, and there was work happening around that. And one of our biggest challenges was, how are we going to pay our consultants? And that whole model of saying we will manage it for you. We had a general conversation when I was going back, and I was telling Murli that I'm struggling with these consultants. So many of them. He said, why don't you just do this for us? I will do it for you. Let's work on an arrangement. We had our own struggles with consultants because they didn't want to go via media. But ultimately, I must say, compliment my own team, who also worked beautifully with your team to make this, seamless and smooth running. I think there have been multiple opportunities, and notwithstanding the fact that while TMI is a corporate which is outside of an NGO, the work they do for me every year along on an initiative that is the cyclothon, let's not run away from the fact that it is time out of your normal schedule for which you don't get paid and where you'll have contributed. So I'm really, really thankful for multiple things that TMI has done so far for me. Okay, and I appreciate this whole partnership genuinely. I'm not referring to any paper right now while I tell you this. Let me tell you, it's coming from the heart. While I see your faces, I'm just saying it the way I see it. I think the future for me is multiple aspects, and where I think TMI needs to up their game, and I'm using the term on up the game, the earlier speaker spoke about the hybrid model of both digital and physical. I think that's not, there's no two ways about it. That's of course there. But what's very important for us is, there is this whole diversity agenda that the organization wishes to drive, which is diversity and inclusion. I strangely and sadly don't find enough partners other than the social sector who understand diversity and inclusion. And while I say this, let me also tell you that these are mandates from investors now. These are no more mandates from just the organization. There's a board mandate, there's an investor mandate. I think there is a lovely space there on diversity and inclusion of the specially abled people, which I, loosely would like to call disabled. 2.1% of the workforce needs those people. That's the available employable population. Right now, only 0.5% of that is being, actually taken for employment. That too, because it's a mandate largely global companies. I think there is an opportunity for Indian companies. And the other thing that has happened in diversity and inclusion, and the reason I'm using this is I'm talking about this bunch of people. Right now, I'm running a campaign called Learn a Sign a Day with the employees. Now, what does Learn a Sign a Day teach you? It's basically in 43 countries across the world, sign language has become an approved language to reach out to the deaf, Okay, and that's a language that's being taught in schools and colleges in many countries, and we are not very far away. And there are companies in India who have adopted sign language as one of their opportunities to learn. There are very good trainers in that space. The reason I'm bringing this up is Amazon recently saw that by bringing these people for packing, etc., they got a 15% hike in productivity. Perennially their opportunities are less. Companies have been tasked to create infrastructure to get these people in. I still feel that that is an opportunity that we must look at. For me as a mandate, I have a 5-year mandate to double my women workforce. Let me take women. I run a program called Retake in the bank. What is Retake? Retake is all about hiring people, women, on part-time projects. The work that I'm good at is, managing their compensation, giving them the right projects, etc. But where do I hire these people? Who will manage that entire careers for me for a retake program? Who will manage my entire careers portal from a hiring perspective? So I think there are those areas which is a great combination of analytics and the right kind of candidature based on the caricature that we would like to draw out and get those people in. Now that's mass hiring. Okay, I'm talking about pure mass. In our earlier models, mass hiring was you put out an ad in the newspaper or you reach consultants, we got people in, we trained them. I think we have an opportunity here to use these channels to get women or men in and then train them and then give them to us, based on our caricature. I think that's a huge opportunity which is terribly missed. The second opportunity that I see as a big opportunity, which I don't know how TMI will, because TMI in RBL is a mass hirer. I think there is specialized opportunities. All banks are going through a lot of struggle for credit, risk, compliance, and roles which are data scientists. The amount of money all these people get and they're quick to change. Is there an opportunity for me in diversity and inclusion to look at that bunch of people who work on projects, take on that? Because for me as an organization, strategically, I want to be in that space and I know we're going to drive that space. How can TMI come forward and be a great partner and be very niche with us in that space would be something that I would be interested in looking at. That's one area that I definitely think we have an option. The second option that I'm looking at is, how can we look at our systems and processes? Because agility, speed, digital, hybrid, all these are the new ways of working. Are all our standard operating procedures actually aligned with the new ways of working? I know nobody understands it completely. If you ask us, I'm called on panels to say back to work. So excuse me, I've never been, tell me how to work from home. Probably if you have to tell me, you have to ask me or teach me how to work from home because we've been coming to work non-stop from March. So I'm really not on a hybrid model. The moment the vaccines get given to frontline workers, which includes bankers, eventually you're going to have people who are going to look at upgrading themselves in an environment of being digital because systemically the organizations are moving digital, even if they are in the organization. How are we going to look at our procedures and processes? So my list is endless. Okay, my list is endless. What TMI can do for me and which I'm very appreciative is you pick up fast, you align fast. I would like to focus on things which are more new age and diversity and inclusion and careers. I think those are big items for us because remote workforce is a way the bank will move at some point of time. And therefore, it will be important to look at people like this who will give us higher productivity. My attrition will be in control because, that's a big ask at this point of time. And maybe there are enough models. I would in fact urge you to please look at the studies that are happening across the globe and come back. And there are some great companies like Capgemini and even HSBC who are doing some phenomenal work in this space. And if we can pick up some of those good learnings and reapply that to us, I would be happy to engage in any form, Murli and team, on how we can change the way of working. It's my ask. The tough part will be on the learning and OD side because if it's a blind person, you'll have to implement JAWS. If it's a physically disabled person, how are you going to make sure that the person gets to learn? The good part is the person can sit at home today and do it. Our biggest challenge of not hiring them in the past was because we didn't have the infrastructure. Today, I don't have that challenge at all. And I see that as a very big opportunity for the bank. And, strategically, in the 2025 strategy, I put that with an exclusive person along with a team member who's driving for me this agenda item, where I'm going to bring CSR and HR into one spectrum, because there's no point supporting these people, skilling them, etc., and not giving them sustainable livelihoods. At the end of the day, it's all about sustainability and livelihoods. So that's where I see a great synergy and partnership. I hope it wasn't a long answer for a short question.
Thank you, Shanta. That's wonderful. I think you're always forward thinking, and I think I really appreciate the talent supply chain model, which I mentioned, was the same concept, that there may be multiple talent supply chains coming into a company, and one of them is differently abled. And one of the thought process I'm working on right now is to how to identify jobs which where they are specially able, rather than to see where their disabilities are. So we will work on it. Definitely, I'll take it up as one of the. I'll recommend to TMI to look at it seriously and come back to you. Thank you, Shanta. As usual, it's a pleasure having you.